Hello there, new players. Are you looking for a build that will help you clear your first legendary mission? Well, then you're in the right place because I just made this build which helped me clear not one, not two, but three legendary missions. And all those missions, I was having a very high kill count and I was competing against people with optimized, fully optimized Striker St. Alamo's engine build with expertise on. And I don't even have that. So, did that pique your interest? All right, then, let me show you. Alright, so this is the first variant of the build that I actually recommend you to use, especially for new players, obviously, because there is no exotics, there is no high-end, named items. It's very easy to make, very easy to farm as well, because it's just gear set. So gear sets are always easy to farm than the high-end pieces. So yeah, it's very simple to make. Now, I do have another variant, which I will show you. And also, I'll show you the damage comparison between them, plus the classic, rifle build as well in the shooting range. So I will recommend you to watch that. There will be timestamps, so don't worry about it, but don't miss that because I show you how the build actually works there and how much damage you do. Now, for the build itself, you're going to be using the technician specialization, mainly because of the laser pointer. So that's a linked laser pointer that you can get, which you can definitely put it on your Baker Dozen, which I already have it applied here, which allows us to pulse our targets whenever we point and aim at them, right? So that's pretty good. Now, the reason why we're using Baker's Dozen here, mainly because of the perfect lucky shot talent. It actually synergizes really well with our build, like the gear set. And also, it's a great talent because you just stay in cover and you just fire your weapon, basically spam it until you hit something. If you don't hit your targets, you're missing your shots, you're not missing your ammo. So you can just spam, like I said. We do have damage to target of cover here and no expertise because this is a new player build. I do not want to add expertise. I just want to show you the raw damage of the build, right? With expertise, obviously, the weapon damage will be very high. Now, obviously, the second weapon we have here, the secondary, we have the Lefty, which gives us the perfect sledgehammer talent. You can use any other weapon with sledgehammer as well, the other named that weapon, but Lefty is very easy to get on countdown. It drops pretty much all the time. So with the sledgehammer, you can throw a grenade and basically just mark the targets and you do 40% damage to armor on them. You know, when you swap your weapon to your rifle, you do crazy damage. So yeah, we know how it works. It's crazy damage. Now, for the other weapon, we have the busy little bee here. Now, if you're a new player, you may not have this. But if you have it, definitely use it. If you don't have it, ignore. But if you have it, definitely use it, okay? Because busy little bee is great. Once you shoot this weapon, you build up a stack on every enemy. So you shoot one enemy, you build up one stack. You shoot another enemy, you build another stack. And each stack gives you 20% of weapon damage. 20, yes, 20. So one stack 20, two stack 40, three stack 60. So let's say you shot 3 different enemies and you have 60% weapon damage. Then you swap to your Baker Dozen and now your Baker Dozen's got 60% weapon damage and it's doing like beyond 3 million for sure on body as a crit. Like that's that. But again, if you don't have this little bee, ignore it. We just have it because of our gear set and it kind of synergizes really well to keep the damage, 100% uptime on the damage basically. Now, let's talk about our gears here. So I'm using the Grupo chest piece, which again gives us a 15% of crit damage for a 1-piece set bonus. We have weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage here, and a crit damage mod with spotter talent, which gives us 15% of amplified weapon and skill damage to pulsed enemies, which they are always pulsed because we're using the laser pointer on our weapon. So we can easily pulse our enemies. And that's why our talent on the chest piece is easily active, right? Now, for the backpack, we have a Sheshka here, which gives us 10% crit chance. We have weapon damage, crit chance, crit damage, and crit damage mod. We have the Vigilance talent here. Now, I honestly do not recommend the Vigilance talent. It's just the highest damage here on the backpack. So that's why I have it. But I honestly recommend the Composure here because it's just always active. As long as you're in cover, you get 15% of weapon damage. I'll show you the difference there in the shooting range. Don't worry. But Vigilance is 25% damage, which is obviously higher than Composure here. But the problem with Vigilance is if you take damage, you lose the buff for 4 seconds and the entire buff is gone. So for 4 seconds, you have literally no damage on the backpack, which is kind of sad. So you choose what you want, whether you like the Vigilance or you like Composure, okay? You be the judge here in this case. Now, as for the gear set, well, obviously we're using the Breaking Point gear set, which gives us rifle damage 25% and marksman rifle damage also 25% for 2-piece set bonus. For 3-piece, we get headshot damage 30% and 15% of weapon handling. For 4-piece is where we have all the stuff, which is quite a lengthy to read. I'm just going to give you just a brief here. What you basically have to do is you fire your weapon, you build up the stacks. So when you hit your targets, you build up a stack. Every stack you get 4% weapon damage and 2% weapon handling. That's it. 4% weapon damage, 2% weapon handling. You build up the stacks. Now, the stack depends on how much ammo you have on your weapon. Like, for example, our Baker doesn't get like 20 rounds on the mag. So 4% weapon damage times 20. That's how much damage you're going to get when you reload the weapon. You don't get the damage up front like Striker does. You have to reload your weapon to get the damage for 10 seconds. Now, you could say like, I mean, that's nothing crazy here. I mean, listen, it's a new player-friendly build, right? It's very easy to make. You will get that damage pretty much all the time. I'll show you how to do that. What you have to do, you just fire the weapon, you get yourself the stacks, and then you will get the stacks fully. Like, you will not miss the stacks. We're going to get that 20 stacks from Baker Dozen all the time. Why? Because of the perfect lucky shot talent. The perfect lucky shot talent will make sure that we never miss the stacks, because you cannot miss your shots, because if you do, you don't miss your ammo. As long as you're in cover, by the way, you have to be in cover. So that's it. That's how simple it is. You can build up the stacks, you reload your weapon, you have the damage. Now, when you have the damage, obviously you're doing more damage. But what happens when you don't have the damage, when you're building the damage? Well, that's the time when the busy little bee comes into play. You use the busy little bee, you get yourself the stacks, you have more damage, and then when you get the stacks, you have again more damage. And at that point, you don't need busy little bee because you can't use it, because if you swap it, you lose the damage completely. So you can get the stacks from busy little bee and change your weapon to your rifle when you're building the stacks for the gear set. But when you already have the stacks of the gear set, you cannot change to the busy little bee to get extra damage. You will completely lose every damage buff. So don't swap it at that point. That's why we use the busy little bee to get ourselves the damage. And then when we build up the stacks, we don't have to worry about the busy little bee because we already have the damage from the gear set. So we have damage active 100% all the time. It's very easy, very simple to use. No crazy mechanics there. All you have to do is point and shoot. That's it. That's the build, right? Now for the second variant, you can use Coyote. And for the backpack, you can just go use the Breaking Point backpack. Why? Well, the Breaking Point backpack increases that 4% damage from basically 4% to 6%. So at that point, you're getting like 120% of weapon damage, which is crazy. So that's fairly high damage, obviously. But, you know, that also kind of helps you not to get hassled about using a high-end, you know, like a God Roll backpack or something. So I felt like, you know, using the backpack of the gear set is better. Now, obviously, we're using a Coyote here. I mean, that could be hard to farm. But I feel like you can get a Coyote mask faster than you can get yourself something like, you know, a God Roll maxed out high-end piece, something like this. I don't know. It's RNG. I got myself the Coyote before than this. So that's why I'm saying it. You know, everybody's RNG is different. So yeah, that's basically the two builds here. It's very good damage. All right, so we're here at the shooting range right now. I want to show you the damage comparison with this build and also like a classic rifle build, plus a different variant of that, and changing the backpack talent at the same time from like Vigilance to Composure and stuff. So just stay here and watch it and see the damage numbers basically. So first variant is obviously this one, which I honestly recommend for new players to use it because it's very easy and simple to make. It's like a simple variant basically. So we got 4 pieces of Breaking Point. We got a Sheshka piece and a Grupo piece here. I have the Composure talent on the Sheshka backpack. I'll change and show you with Vigilance talent later on. So yeah, that's basically the build. And obviously we have the Baker's Dozen here with no expertise and obviously damage target of cover. And my stats, as you see, very high crit chance there and also pretty good crit damage, 148%. So yeah, that's the build. Let's just go in cover so we can activate our lucky shot as well as the Composure talent. Now we just pulse the target and we just shoot there. We're doing 1.8,080,000 there by when we're just building up the stacks, right? So we don't have the build's full damage active yet. We're just building up the stacks, right? And we just built up the stacks and now we have the buff. So let me just pulse the target again. And as you see, we're doing 2.475 million there, right? 2.475 million. So that's the build that I made right now, which is very simple here, right? Now, let's just change things around a little bit and let's see what we can do. So first of all, I'm going to completely just remove this build and show you a different build, which is basically a typical rifle build. So we're going to use here a Picaro's holster. We're going to use Fox spray and knee pads. And we're going to change this gloves to the contractor gloves here. So this is what a typical like rifle build looks like. I mean, there could be a different variants of that as well. Like the chest piece talent could be glass cannon, could be focus talent as well. But we're just using here for basically just you know, do a direct comparison. So for my stats here, we have 49% crit chance, 172 crit damage. But Coyote will take that to 59% crit chance and 182% crit damage, because we're going to activate Coyote's middle thing, which is 15 to 25 meters and not the 0 to 15 meters. So we get 10% crit damage and crit chance here. That's why I put the target here at 20 meters, right? So let's just try with this. This is also, again, like a set and forget build, basically. You stay in cover and now you shoot. You're doing 2.2 million there, as you see. 2.2 million, 2.3 million on the body, right? 2.35 million on the body, which is lower damage. Again, I can't create right now, which is lower damage than the breaking point build, obviously, because, breaking point gives you that stacks and you do more damage. But you could argue and say, well, this is at least a consistent 2.3 million. We don't have to worry about the stacks here. Yes, true. But also, look at the build. I mean, the gears that we used. We have a Picaro's holster, which is a named item. We got a Fox's sprayer, which is a named item. We got a contractor gloves, which is, again, a named item. So, yeah. And also a bunch of high ends and an exotic. But the breaking point build that I just showed you, which was doing more damage than this, it didn't have any exotics. It has a 4-piece of gear set, which is very easy to get. It was very simple to set up. And again, it was also a point and shoot, right? You just stay in cover and shoot. That's it. Same as this. So I would say for new player, that is easier to make than this, right? Now I'm going to show you another kind of variant of the breaking point here. I just think I just want to show you this. It's not going to be more damage, but it's, something. So we're going to use the backpack here this time with the breaking point, because again, the backpack increases the damage from 4% per stack to 6%. So we have a play here. Now we're going to change the mod to the crit damage mod again. And if I see my stats here, we got similar crit chance, similar crit damage there. And we have Coyote, so that's giving us 10%. So we're getting 54 crit chance. So the reason why I am showing you this build is because we don't have to use 2 high ends here. So we got 4-piece of breaking point here. So you don't have to worry about farming a Sheshka backpack or a Grupo backpack or a Grupo chest piece or something like that, which has good stats, so you can have a talent. So if you don't want to go through that hassle, you can just use like this, right? And with this, we're going to do a little, I believe a little less damage. We'll see about that. So yeah, we have 1.697 million, where my breaking point build was doing 1.880,000. Yeah, 1.8 million 80,000 there. So this is a bit less damage from the build-up. But when we have the stacks here, we're doing 2.5 million, which is a little bit more damage than the 4-piece breaking point build I showed you in the first. It is like 50k-ish more damage. Why we have a little bit more damage than the previous breaking point build, which has the Sheshka backpack there, is because this backpack's stack, the 6% damage is kicking in, and we're doing a little bit more damage. That's the reason why. So that's why it's beating out the composure talent from my Sheshka, backpack there. Now let's go back to the Sheshka again, and this time we're gonna change that composure to Vigilance talent. So we're gonna go back to the build which is the breaking point build we were using. So this is what we were using, right? So now we're gonna change this composure talent to Vigilance talent. There we go. So we're gonna change it to Vigilance talent. I do recommend Composure than Vigilance though, because when you get shot, you lose the buff completely. But with Vigilance talent, with the simple build that I showed you, again, the stats, you see it. Yeah, same, everything. So now if we do damage, we were doing 1.8 million 80,000. Now we're going to do 2 million because of just the Vigilance giving us that damage increase, right? And let's just build up the stacks and see how much damage we can do when we have the full stacks here. So yeah, now we have full stacks. And now let's just take down this target real quick. We pulse. Now we're doing 2.69 million, which is higher than any of the builds, variants, and stuff that I just showed you right now. This is higher than anything, right? Because of the Vigilance talent. So if you can use Vigilance talent without getting shot that much, use this. Obviously, it's higher damage. Otherwise, just use Composer and don't stress it. And if you have trouble farming these pieces, like a high-end piece with a pretty good stats like this, just use the Breaking Point backpack and you're fine, right? It's super simple and easy build for new players. Again, very important, new players, not us. We can definitely use Contractor gloves and, knee pads, Fox's prayer and all that. And we can just sit there and hit 2.3, 2.4 million consistently all the time. But this Breaking Point build is definitely useful for new players. If you have the Visible B, then definitely you can increase the damage. Like in this build right now with the Vigilance talent, if you just hit 3 targets, let's say with the Busy Little Bee, and then you swap and you activate Vigilance, you're going to be doing 3 million probably, with this. Like if I can pulse there. So yeah, there you go, 3.2 million as you saw. See? So that's because of the Busy Little Bee. So if you have Busy Little Bee, definitely can increase the stack buildup damage because of that. But you can't use it after you have the stacks, because when you swap to your Busy Little Bee, you will lose the damage. Like you saw, we lost the damage there, so we can't use it when we have the stacks of the build. So when you're building up the stacks, then you can use the Busy Little Bee and then use it like that. I already told you that. So yeah, that's a pretty decent build, I would say. Very good for legendary content for new players if you just want to complete a legendary mission. So this will serve you really well. Try it out. It's a set and forget build basically. You got the pulse going on for seeing targets, because I know it's annoying to get killed from someone you can't see. With the pulse you can see them through the wall. So yeah, that's kind of a plus point there. So yeah, try it out. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. I'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.